Galaxy and I could take you for a ride. I had a premonition that we fell into a rhythm where the music don't stop for life. Glitter in the sky, glitter in my eyes, shining just the way you like. If you're feeling like you need a little bit of company, you met me at the perfect time. You want me, I want you, baby. My sugar boo, I'm levitating. The Milky Way, we're renegading. Yeah, 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 yeah. I got you, moonlight. You're my starlight. I need you all night.
Good evening, everyone.
Dance with me, I'm levitating. You, moonlight. You're my starlight. I need you.
Hi, Bianca. Good evening.
Come on, dance with me.
Hi, Luisa. Hello, Enzo. Good evening, everybody. Hi, Gregory. How's everybody doing tonight? Hello, Guilherme. Good evening. Hello, Gabriele. Good evening. Hello, Mateus. Hello, Luis Carlos. Welcome, everybody. You're better now. Good to know that. It's a pleasure to have you with us, Bianca. Hello, Marcelo. Hello, Gabriel. Where are you watching us from? Let us know in the chat. I'm speaking from São Paulo. Hello, Laura. Hello, Kaique. Hello, Rodrigo. To the sound of Dua Lipa. São José do Rio Preto. Move to Santos, nice. Hello, Ana Júlia. Rio de Janeiro. São Paulo. Tabuão. Tabuão, nice. Jundiaí, São Paulo, Ribeirão Preto. Goiás, nice. From all over the country. Grajaú. Umuarama, Paraná, Guarujá. Excellent. Maceió, excellent, nice. So, let's get started. Welcome, everybody. It's a huge pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you so very much for joining us on our very last session. Today we are closing our Linguaskill Open Classes series with a very special guest. If you have attended the previous sessions, you are probably familiar with my face, but I'm not the one presenting tonight. It's a huge pleasure for me to introduce you to Alberto Costa. But before I tell you about Alberto Costa, I have a couple of housekeeping to do. So make sure you remember to take some notes during the session. It's very important for you to remember later what happened in the session. Make sure your microphone is on mute. Use the chat box to ask questions to our moderator, myself, and the tutor, Alberto Costa. Don't forget to drink water, coffee, or tea. It's important to hydrate yourself during the session. Find a comfortable place to limit distractions around you. It's really important to pay attention to the session, take notes. They're going to be very important on the day of the exam. Avoid multitasking, really listen. Be respectful, as you've always been in all the previous sessions. And a link will be available for all the resources at the end of the session, okay? I hope you can enjoy the session, our last session, with Alberto Costa, who is a teacher trainer. He has trained teacher on Celta and Delta courses and works as a senior assessment services manager for Cambridge Assessment English. He's particularly interested in language assessment and continuing professional development for teachers. Alberto, thank you so very much for joining us tonight. The floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Johnny, and hello, everyone. Good evening. It's really nice to be back here with such a special audience. I'll be sharing some information about Linguaskill. But I would like to say, first of all, big congratulations to the CNA team for having delivered the previous sessions on Linguaskill. I attended the sessions. I was amazed by the materials that Johnny, Derek, Bruno, Janaína prepared to deliver the sessions. It was so nicely conducted and there was so much participation in the chat. So I'll be bringing you some reminders before you sit your Linguaskill exam. And by all means, I would like you to see this as an opportunity for us to have a conversation, right? So a moment for a conversation. Feel free to ask questions to clarify any doubts that you have. And I'm going to start by sharing some thoughts and encouraging you to talk about what has recently happened in Brazil. So for the session today, I'm going to share some ideas to boost your confidence. But considering the sessions that you had before, I'm sure your self-confidence is really, really high at this point because you have received a lot of information, excellent materials. You have the recordings, you have the PowerPoints to go back to and refresh your ideas about Linguaskill, and of course, do very well on the day of the exam, right? So, are you familiar with this name, Marcos D'Almeida? Have you heard anything about him recently? Anything that comes to your mind? Just say yes or no in the chat. And if you say yes, say something that you remember. Okay, okay. No, so I felt it was a very interesting piece of news to share with you because, yes, that's right, Bruno, a Brazilian archer. Actually, he's now competing to get his place in the Olympic Games. And last month, more specifically on the 26th of June, he got gold medal for his competition. Isn't that nice? You know, he's a young archer. In Brazil, we don't have the tradition of archery as a popular sport, but then we got a gold medal by Marcos D'Almeida, right? And I watched the competition, the last moments of the competition, and the amount of concentration and focus that he had was just unbelievable. So I felt it was nice to share something like this with you because I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think that Marcos Almeida simply got up from his bed, had breakfast, and went to the competition without doing anything for that competition? Do you think that he just woke up on that day? What do you think he did before that day when he got the gold medal? Uh, Tell me something about his habits or his routine. Yes, Bianca, that's it. He practiced a hell lot. So this is why he got the gold medal. So when I was looking at that competition, that reminded me of something that happens on the day of the test when you are actually taking the test, right? So that is the moment when you need to focus a lot. Of course, because it's the moment of the test, you want to make sure that you get as many questions right as possible, right? That's the moment for your gold medal. So this is a moment when you need to do a lot of things, right? But before that moment, you see that the scenario is completely different. This is the moment where you practice a lot and you need to make sure that you do many, many attempts, in different exercises. Many of those attempts won't take you to the right answer immediately. So this is why This is a moment for you to, above all, experiment, try, and of course, all this practice, all this training that you have been doing, and this includes all the sessions that you attended that were delivered by Johnny, Janaína, and their team, will help you, to get to your gold medal on the day of the tests, right? Because on this specific day, this is the moment to focus a lot, and this is also the moment for you to demonstrate your knowledge and skills. So you need to make sure that you have all those knowledge and skills in place for this specific opportunity, right? And it's a moment also when you need to manage your emotions. So one of the ways to help you feel self-confident and manage your emotions on the day of the test is by actually making sure that you have practiced enough for the test and that you have made sure you are familiarized with the task, because every test, be it a competition or a language test, will also force you to manage your time. You have to demonstrate your knowledge and skills within a certain time frame. In the case of Marcos Almeida, who's an archer, he has to make sure that he is shooting from a certain distance, right? So that the distance is the same for all the competitors. And it happens with the test as well. You have a specific time frame, yeah? So it's very important that you produce what you need to produce, that you demonstrate what you need to demonstrate within the time frame. And also, you need to aim as well, just like Marcos Almeida did. There was the bullseye, which is this round object that you can see here. And you need to aim at getting it right as much as possible on the day of the test, right? Question for you. Are you ready for this? Let's look at the chat because I want to see your contributions. Are you ready for this? Are you ready to demonstrate your skills, to manage your emotions, to manage your time for Linguaskill? Are you aiming to get it right? So tell me how you're feeling about this. Are you ready for this? Okay, Kaique, I'm sure that with the sessions that Johnny and his team delivered, you will be ready for this. Okay, trying to get to practice more. Okay, that's good, João Vitor, 100%. So you're gonna get your gold medal on the day of the test. Wonderful, wonderful. So if you're feeling fully confident, congratulations. If you are not, you still have today to ask questions, to check any doubts, right? So I want you to make sure that you feel ready, confident to face the challenge, right? Okay. Now, before the test, it's the moment when you do all the practice and the preparation. And this is also the moment for you to take the opportunity to take risks and lose your fears, right? This is the moment for trial and error. If we ever get something right, like Marcos Almeida did, I'm sure he made a lot of mistakes, countless mistakes before that day, 26th of June, when he got the gold medal. So practice means trial and error. And if you make mistakes, it's the opportunity to try again and again and again until you get it right and you build your confidence, right? Most of all, everyone, listen to your teacher. I was here attending the big open classes that were delivered in the past couple of months. And there are great tips, lots of ideas, wonderful resources that CNA shared with you. So listen to your teacher as well. Listen to the feedback your teacher has been giving on your speaking, on your writing, on your homework as well. It's very important. And of course, practice, 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 practice. So apart from the resources that you have been given, I hope I'll be sharing a few more resources with you. So take this opportunity to do this before you get to the point of trying and to get your gold medal. And the more you practice, the more you will be familiarized with the test and with the dynamics of the test, timing, what to do, making sure that you will be quick enough to answer the questions, to write your composition, to speak, as you listen to the tasks and instructions, and speak accordingly to make sure that you get a good grade, right? And when we are talking about taking a test, we know that Linguaskill, like CNA explained before, it's a multi-level test, but we are aiming at a specific goal, right? Your goal is to make sure that you have demonstrated the skills and the knowledge which will prove that you are at level B2. So what does it mean to be at level B2? You have been given this set of descriptors before, but this is just a check for your memory, okay? So at level B2, you need to demonstrate that you can understand the main ideas, but there are some missing words over here. Can you guess what the words are and share your thoughts in the chat? What do you think is the first C and the second C and then the A in this paragraph? So at level B2, you can understand the main ideas of text on both. What do you think the words might be? Again, this is not the test. This is preparation for the test. It's the moment for trial and error. So feel free to add your ideas to the chat. Okay, we have the first letter here to help you. So it's a word with the letter C. For example, can understand the main ideas of. It's a word starting with letter C, and then we have another word starting with letter C, and then another word starting with letter A. Okay, come on, creating. Any more attempts? It's trial and error, so don't worry, just give your ideas, share your thoughts. Now we are getting closer. Okay, you have seen this before, so we are getting closer to the answers. Very good. So let's look at the answers to this. At level B2, you should demonstrate that you can understand the main ideas of complex text on both concrete and abstract topics, including discussions, technical discussions in a field of specialization. So we are talking here about your skills to understand either written text or spoken text, right? So you need to be able to understand and to show that you can do this. Okay, let's look at a second paragraph over here. In terms of speaking, you need to demonstrate that you can interact with a degree of, starting with letter F, and the spontaneity that makes regular interaction with users of the target language quite, starting with letter P. Okay, I can see some options here. Well done, Bruno. Good, Eduarda. Good attempt. Any other options here for letter P? Okay, good, good. Good attempt, Luis Carlos. Remember, it's trial and error. No one is getting a grade here. So the more you share, the more it's going, everyone's going to benefit from your ideas. Okay, Michelle, very good, very good. Gabrielle, good. Okay. Okay, any other guesses for P? Wow, So I think we have the answers to this here. So can interact with a degree of fluency, spontaneity, with the users of the target language, makes regular interaction with the users of the target language quite possible. So at this level, you need to make sure that the interaction is possible and you are not imposing strain on either party. So if when you are imposing strain, what is it? What does it mean? Can you find a synonym to the word strain in this case? When you are imposing strain, you are causing someone to make an something. What is this something when you say imposing strain? Again, share your thoughts. So when you are imposing strain, the other person has to make an effort to understand tension. Very good. Tension, effort, pressure. So there is this thing that the interlocutor, the person talking to you, is working hard to understand. At level B2, this, as far as possible, should not be happening, right? Okay, now let's look at a final paragraph here, which focuses on writing skills. So at this level, you are expected to demonstrate that you can produce something with C, and then something with D, text on a wide range of subjects, and explain a viewpoint on a topical issue giving the A and D. Okay, very good, Camila. Good, Renato, Maria Luisa, wonderful. Yes, that's good. You're doing very well here for writing. Any other options for the letters A and D? So you demonstrate that you can produce something and something text on a wide range of subjects and explain a viewpoint. So you say what you think about something on a topical issue, giving the, okay, answer. When you give, when you explain a viewpoint, and this is a tip for you, right? When you say something, when you express your thoughts on a subject, on an issue, and you give various options. You are talking about what in relation to this topic? Okay, Luisa, that might be a possibility, right? If you are expressing your views, you are in many cases talking about good and bad points about something. So let's look at the answers here. At this level, you need to demonstrate that you can produce clear, detailed text, okay? And that you need to give your viewpoint on issues, showing the advantages and disadvantages of various options, right? Now, my question for you is, this is the expected level, the expected skills. Are you ready for this? When you look at this in detail, are you ready for this? Yes or no? You can say on a scale from 1 to 10, where 10 means I'm fully ready. Are you ready for this? So you can just type a number from 1 to 10. When you look at the expectations. Oh, Laura, I don't believe you. I don't believe you, Laura. Oh, that's good. That's good. I can see a lot more self-esteem and self-confidence cropping up. Oh, come on, Arthur. I'm sure that if you just revise the lessons that were delivered before, I'm sure your confidence will build a lot more. So now that you know what is expected from you at level B2, right? We are going to look at the Linguaskill modules, each of the modules, and then we're going to explore some of the details. Of course, if you attended the previous lessons, you will have seen a lot of this information, right? But we are going to go one by one and share some ideas with you on how to deal with them. So we're going to talk about the first module, which is reading and listening. Even though we are talking about two different skills, and you will be getting grades to each of those skills, in Linguaskill, it comes in one component. So you're going to do the two skills in one sitting, right? So reading and listening for Linguaskill, we have the duration. It's about 60 to 85 minutes altogether, right? Because it is a multi-level test, there is a variable number of questions. So the idea here is that just like Marco D'Almeida did on the day of the competition, aim at getting answers right as much as possible, because the more you get the answers right, the more questions you get, and that adds to the profile that you build for the exam. The more questions that you answer, the more you demonstrate that you have those skills and knowledge that we have just talked about. So there is a variable number of questions. It's an adaptive test, right? And there are different types of questions, but questions that I'm sure you have become familiarized with. For example, for the reading tasks, we have questions such as read and select. So you have options, so you choose one of the options. You have gap sentences, so sentences with a gap that you need to use to include words. You have also multiple choice gap fills, so there are options A, B, C, A, B, C, D. And then we have gaps, open gap fill, right? And then we also have extended reading as well, which is a longer text and a few questions for this longer text. Listening tasks, many of them include listen and select because you are given the options. And then we have extended listening where there is a longer audio and you listen to the audio and there are a few questions related to that audio file. So this is a general overview of the reading and listening component for Linguaskill, right? In terms of reading and listening, best thing to do is to familiarize yourself with the test, this component of the test. And our website will bring a number of sample tests for you. So there is here access for you to go to the sample tests and practice. The sample test will not give you a grade, for example, but it will give you the opportunity to understand how the test works on the screen. So this is also part of familiarization. So I highly recommend practicing with the sample test because you will know exactly where to click on the screen, how it happens, how the screen changes from one question to the other. It's a must-go-to place for you to practice. And this is why I have the image of the ground where archers practice bow and arrow, because you need to practice more and more. You will not always get things right, and that's a learning opportunity for you to try again and again, right? So this is a must-go place in our website. I'll share the link afterwards. So in terms of practice for reading and listening, the idea when you go to the website to practice with the tasks, find similar tasks in your course book. Remember that I said at the beginning, listen to the teacher. Go to your course book, find similar tasks there, and then you can follow the following steps for you to practice reading in particular. And this is about reading first, right? Read the questions and the text, right? Make sure you understand the instructions. Find the answers as quickly as you can. Pretend, imagine that you are on the day of the exam, read the questions, read the text, find the answers, then check the answers, but don't stop there. Once you have checked the answers, it's time to do practice, practice, practice. What can you do after that? Read the text again, and then try to find the reasons for the correct answers. So you need to go to the text this time, and you are going to read it differently, right? You're going to read it to underline the reasons for the answers. This part of the text is the right answer, probably because this information here is more relevant than that piece of information in the text. So follow those stages when you are practicing reading skills. And remember that in the practice phase, you can always go back again and again. But the first time you deal with the text, imagine that you are in the exam situation. And then when you check the answers, go back and exploit the text to find the reasons for the answers, right? A very good idea is to challenge yourself. So I'm going to teach you a way for you to challenge yourself. And this is something interesting. I would like you to go to this link here. I'm going to paste the link in the chat, right? I would really like you to go there because there are interesting things for you to do here. So just a moment while I paste the link in the chat. Okay, let me go to the chat and put the link here for you. Okay, can you open this link, please? When you open this link, you're going to look, if you are using a computer screen, you're going to look at the top right-hand corner. And I'm saying that a computer screen because you might be using a mobile. So when you look at the right-hand corner at the top, there is a box with some words. What words can you read from that box? When you look at the top right-hand corner, there are some words there. Very good, Bianca. There are articles, prepositions. What other words can you find in that box? Yes, that's right. That's right. Yes, yes, that's right. Now, I'm sharing this free website with you because those words that you can see in the box on the top right-hand corner, they are usually the kinds of words that will be used in the gaps when we do the, gapped text or gapped sentence type of activity. Modal verbs are not usually there, but prepositions, linking words, articles, quantifiers, they will always be there. Auxiliary verbs, by all means, will be there as well. Prepositions. So these are the kinds of words that you will need to fill in the gaps. So with this website that I've shared with you, you'll be able to challenge yourself and give yourself the opportunity to practice with something that is created by you. So in this text, in this website, you can check any text that you are reading on the web, on the internet, right? Copy the text and then you paste it on the box on the left. And then you click one of those boxes on the right for things that you want to remove from the text. Maybe you want to practice prepositions. So copy the text, don't read it in detail. Copy, paste in the box, click on prepositions, and it will gap all the prepositions in the text, right? And then you can try and guess which prepositions are missing. And then you can compare with the text afterwards. And this is a very good self-study technique. You challenge yourself by doing this. So now let's practice. I've got here an interesting text which comes from very nice testimonials that we have on our website. And they are testimonials of language learners. You'll be able to access this later. It's called stories. So each person there has been, will be telling a story about how they learned English. And there are two Brazilian characters there in this area of the website. So this is Andresa. Andresa wrote, for the stories section, and she's telling a story. So I basically got the first paragraph, I copied it, I pasted it in the website, and then I gapped the prepositions there. Which prepositions are missing in this text? Good, the first one in, okay. Sorry, it should be São Paulo. It's when you have the accent, it doesn't bring, I should have checked that. São Paulo. When you say, I always wanted learn English. We did learn English, blah, 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 school. Ah, very good. I can see that all of you are writing all the prepositions all together. Very nice. So yeah, so this is just to give you an idea. I used this text from Journeys. I said stories, it's called Journeys. I can see here in the link. And I created an exercise that I could do myself, to challenge myself, but now I am challenging you. So let's look at the answers here when we compare with the original text. So a small city near São Paulo, I always wanted to learn English. We did learn English in school, but it was a very basic level. And Andresa tells us a very interesting story about her experience learning a language and the opportunities that she had after that. We also had Lorena, another Brazilian student. When you go to the journey section of our website, you'll be able to read very interesting stories, and you can use the stories to challenge yourself, right? Yeah, it could be at school as well, right? So that could be one. What can do more than one option in the space? Look, if we're talking about the Cambridge exam, a Linguaskill, the Cambridge test, when there is a gap and more than one option goes in the gap, that is taken into consideration for the examiners, right? So usually when they give us the answer key to an exercise, you may find more than one option of answers. So if that's the case, this will be taken into consideration, right? But this is a good idea for you to practice. And maybe today you don't want to practice with prepositions, you want to practice with linking words. So you go to the website, paste the text, gap the linking words, try to guess, and then you can keep challenging yourself. And it's a very nice and simple tool to use. So as I said, you can practice this activity at level B2 and above by going to the journeys section, where you can find many stories of people from around the world telling us how they learned English and how many opportunities this led them to, right? So those are very interesting texts for you to use. Now we're going to focus on listening, right? So again, it's very important that you become familiarized with the listening component by going to the website and doing the sample tests. Again, they won't give you the answer, but you will understand how the things work on the screen, which is very, very important when we talk about Linguaskill. So the more you practice, the more you will benefit from this. Again, apart from going to this area of the site, make sure that you find familiar listening tasks in your course book. And I'm going to give you a very good tip for you to practice listening, because when we practice listening, we also have the opportunity to improve our pronunciation, right? We'll talk about pronunciation when we talk about speaking, but listening is the way for you to also improve your pronunciation. So find the tasks in your book and then follow those steps here. Read the questions, the instructions, what you need to do, and then listen once and listen twice. Pretend that you are doing the exam, right? Then accordingly, according to the instructions, right? Check the answers. You get things right. You may get things wrong. After you have done this, imagining that you are doing the exam, then you can listen and read, listen to and read the script. And you will do this to, first of all, check the reasons for the answers to make sure that your listening comprehension is at the expected level, at the desired level. And also you can spot pronunciation features while you listen and read, right? For example, you can see how people group words together when they speak. And then you see 5 words, but when they speak, it may sound like 1 or 2 words. You can also check how people use the intonation to say certain things, right? To convey feelings, for example, whether they are stressed, whether they are happy, right? And it's very important to remember, don't do listening and reading when you do it for the first time. First, pretend you are in the test. Read the questions, listen once, then listen twice, check the answers. Only after that will you then go to the script to listen and read and check pronunciation features, which is very important, and check the reasons for the answers, right? Now, a question for you. What other ways of practicing listening can you think of? Can you suggest a few ideas in the chat? Very good, Bianca. Yeah, expose yourself to the language, watch series. And I would say nowadays we have options for everything. So as you watch series, try and experiment watching it in different ways, without the captions, with the captions, or maybe part of it without the captions, and then you watch it again with the captions. So experiment, challenge yourself. I think this is the most important thing. You have a lot of opportunities to practice English, right? When I was a teenager learning English, I said that last year, sorry, Danny, I will say that again. My only resource was my course book and the cassette. You have many options nowadays, so challenge yourselves, use websites, practice, there are many ways for you to do it. So yes, listen to Adele's interview. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of my favorite, actually. So you can think about listening to the news. All the international radio stations are on the internet nowadays with excellent audio quality. So go to the internet radios. I mean, I like pop music, so I usually listen to one radio in England, which is called Capital FM, right? It's a great radio. I particularly like the adverts. I like also iHeart It from New York. So iHeart It is another radio station which is for people like me who love pop songs. So iHeartRadio has great internet programs. Also, the adverts are very good listening experiences. So iHeartRadio is great. I really like it. But if you don't like pop music like I do, you can choose other radio stations and you have many options. You know, if you have a smart TV, you can have the app on your smart TV and practice in the same way. All very good quality and all free as well. Podcasts, I'm sure you can teach us where to find good podcasts, you know, about different things. But there's something I would like to share with you, which is very useful and really pedagogical. It's BBC Learning English. If you go to Google, just put BBC Learning English. They have this section of piece of news with activities for you to practice many things, grammar, vocabulary, but also listening while you watch the clips. And there are exercises for you to do. So it's designed for language learners. It's free, so it's a very nice resource for you to practice. And you can listen to podcasts and to the radio while you are, you know, doing the cleaning in the house. You are practicing English indirectly, but you know, there are many options nowadays for you to practice listening. We also have on our website in the on the Linguaskill page tips. So there are tips and advice for candidates taking the test, which will include things for you to practice, but also things to remember, considering that you are taking the test in an online environment. So lots of reminders for you, and you'll be able to access the tips, right? Now, speaking is really, really important. All of us, when we study a language, the first thing we say is, I want to speak the language. So speaking for Linguaskill has many parts, as you can see here. It's going to be 15 minutes and it has 5 parts, right? So for the first part, there is an interview where you are given questions to answer about yourself. Remember, the first 2 questions here, they are not marked. So don't worry about making a mistake in the first 2 questions. They are not marked, right? Then we have a reading aloud moment. Then we have part 3 with a long turn that is a monologue. So you can see here a topic and you have 40 seconds to prepare. Then part 4, we have another long turn. So you are given a graph, you know, to look at, and you have to talk for about a minute. You have about 1 minute to prepare. And then we have a communication activity where you give your opinion, you know, advantages, disadvantages, remember? Short responses, and you have 40 seconds to prepare. There are 5 questions in this section, right? So you will see that part 2 here is highlighted in a different color, and I'll tell you why. When you do the speaking test, of course, there is the criteria from Cambridge, right? So they need to use the criteria to make sure that you have the skills and knowledge to be at a certain level in the test. But there is specific criteria for part 2, the reading aloud bit. So one question for you, type it in the chat. When you are doing the speaking test, what is it that the examiners will be looking at, will be paying attention to in your speaking? What do you think they will be listening to you for? Okay, something about fluency. Okay, all right. Yeah. I can see the word accent here, but I would say something to you. They are not looking at accent. What they are looking at is clarity and intelligibility. Whether you have an accent that is close to American accent or Australian accent or British accent, that won't make a difference as long as your language is clear and intelligible, as long as what you are saying can be understood without strain, without the pressure, the tension, the effort, right? So this is what they are looking at. So there is a doubt here. Do you advise ourselves to answer the questions in a more... Okay, we are going to talk about that in a moment. So yes, I'm going to share with you information in relation to what they are looking at. First of all, let's revise what is expected from you at level B2 in terms of speaking. Remember that we did this exercise. You are expected to interact with a degree of fluency, so you have to show that you are fluent, with a degree of spontaneity, so your language should sound as much as possible spontaneous and natural, right? And you need to show that you can make a regular interaction with someone using English, and you have to make this interaction possible. So you are showing that you can keep the conversation going, right? And the person listening to you will not be making an effort to understand you. This is very important. So these are things they are looking at. This is the expectation, right? When we look at the bullseye in the bow and arrow sport, it's the center, the yellow circle that you have to hit, yeah? So let's look at the criteria in detail. Pronunciation and fluency. It has to be intelligible. We are looking at level B2, right? Because the criteria goes above level B2 for lingual skills. So this is what they say for grade 4 level B2. It has to be intelligible. People need to understand you. You have to make sure that stress, rhythm, and intonation are used to express meaning adequately. Remember when I said something about the listening activity? After you answer the question, listen again and check for pronunciation features, stress, rhythm, intonation, right? Some hesitation may happen. That shouldn't be a problem as long as you are clear. Language resource, look at this. You have to show range of grammar and vocabulary. Range, I'll give you a synonym: diversity, variety. So you have to make sure that your vocabulary is rich and that you use different grammar structures when you are speaking, right? So maybe you may make a mistake with a grammar structure or a piece, an item of vocabulary. If it doesn't impede comprehension, the meaning of what you are saying, that shouldn't be a problem, right? Also, discourse management, which is the logic behind the message, what you are saying behind the message. So how you organize your ideas, it has to be comprehensible. If you are giving opinions, you should be giving opinions that should sound like opinions. So the person understands whether you have a good opinion or a negative opinion about something. If you're telling a story, there should be a sequence, right? So how you organize your ideas and how the ideas relate to each other, the sequence of what you are saying has to be clear, right? Remember that part 2 is a reading aloud activity. They give you sentences that you have to read aloud, and they are looking at specific things for part 2. For example, overall intelligibility. Intelligibility, it has to be clear, it has to be understandable. So pronunciation should be generally understood, and the meaning of what you're saying should be conveyed, passed on adequately, right? They are looking at individual sounds, so make sure that when you pronounce the words, you articulate the sounds, just like I'm doing here. I'm making an effort to articulate the sounds so that what I am saying is clear to you. So all those sounds that you learned from your teacher, the way you pronounce the words, make sure that the sounds are clear, that you articulate the sounds, and then you can practice with a number of pronunciation resources that you can find online, but also listening. Listening is great to improve pronunciation, one of the strategies, right? So your sound should be clear. They are not talking about accent, they are talking about the sounds, right? And even if there is occasional difficulty, that shouldn't be a problem, but try to be clear and articulate the sounds clearly as much as possible. And of course, stress, rhythm, intonation. So make sure that you use stress, that you use intonation if you are asking a question, if you are reacting to something, use intonation, use rhythm to say things, right? So these are the things that they are looking at. So with this in mind, here is my question for you. Are you ready for this on a scale from 1 to 10, where 10 means fully ready? Are you ready for this? I'm giving you the secret behind Linguaskill. 7 point, okay, I can see, a lot more self-confidence over here. Okay. Okay, wonderful. That's great. You are so confident about your speaking. I'm so proud of you. And I must say, congratulations, CNA, for this, wonderful. That's wonderful. So I've given you the secret behind Linguaskill level B2. This is what is expected from you. If you do this, you hit the bullseye and you get your gold medal, right? For level B2. So speaking, what other ways of practicing speaking can you think of? We talked about pronunciation, stress, rhythm, fluency, diversity, range of vocabulary, grammar structures. What other ways of practicing speaking can you think of? Yeah, speaking online. Yeah, that's very important. Reading aloud. Yes, you can chat with speakers, but it's nice that you have the opportunity to talk to native speakers, but try and talk to as many people as possible who speaks English, whether or not they are native speakers. Let me tell you something. Because of mobility, that is people moving from country to country, because of the internet, because of the importance of English in the world of higher education and in the world of work, nowadays, there are more people using English who are non-native speakers than the amount of native speakers talking to each other. So most of the English that is produced nowadays is produced by non-native speakers talking to other non-native speakers. So chances are that in your job or in your degree course or post-degree course, you will be talking in English with people from a range of different nationalities. So the piece of advice here is talk in English. Whether or not they are native speakers, that's not the point, but just talk in English as much as you can, right? So there are many ways. And of course, don't forget, last week, Johnny mentioned Speak and Improve with wonderful explanation. Speak and Improve, if you were not here last week, is a platform for you to practice speaking English with Sandy. Sandy is the robot who asks you questions and then they give you a grade afterwards. And then, of course, you can practice and practice and practice and practice. Someone here asked me a question about whether you should answer the questions directly. Well, answer the questions directly, clearly, objectively, that's not a problem. But in Linguaskill, try to avoid the monosyllabic type of response. So if there is a question, for example, Where do you live in Brazil? What do you do at the weekend? I sleep. If you answer the questions like this, Linguaskill will understand that you don't have the skills and knowledge for level B2 because you are not giving the platform all the material, all the English that you can produce. So expand on the answers, right? So give more details, add more to your answers. Remember, the day of the test is like Marcos D'Almeida in the competition. It's the day for you to get it right. So expand the answers, add details, use as many grammar structures as you can, as much vocabulary as possible, right, to your answers. So you can be objective and you need, Larissa, you need to keep going, right? In the on the day of the test. So this is why we encourage you to practice with something like Speak and Improve. If you make a mistake, just continue what you are doing. Remember, the criteria says here, a minor problem with clarity or intelligibility may not affect your results. Yeah. So don't worry also about the time because the system will be responsible for the time. So just keep talking and adding to your answer, right? Make sure you make the most of the time by using a lot of language, and that's what you need to do. When it stops, but don't worry. Just give the answers and give the platform as much as you can for them to see your knowledge and skills, right? Again, we have the tips for the speaking paper. And this is not only about your English, but about the platform, the system. So you'll be able to access this as well. Now we're going to talk about writing, which is the other component. And for the writing paper, you have some things to remember. So this is what it looks like. There are two parts, right? And you have 15 minutes for the first part and 30 minutes for the second part. Some things to highlight in terms of writing. You have a set time limit, okay? It's pre-established. You have an expected minimum number of words. But I would like to highlight that this is the minimum word count. You can write beyond that as much as you can within the time frame. So don't limit yourself to those numbers here. It's not 50 words. It's minimum 50 words, and then you can write as many words as you can after that, right? Same for part 2, at least 180 words, but you can go beyond that as much as you can. It's actually recommended, right? There's a question about the structure. This is a great question, Isabella. I'm actually going to read the question for everyone. So the structure of the text is more important than the correct use of grammar or equally important? This is a wonderful question, Isabella. I'm going to talk about it in a moment, and I hope I'll be able to answer your question, right? Now, let's look at level B2 again from the CFR and see what is expected from you. At this level, as we did in the exercise, you are expected to produce clear, detailed text on a wide range of subjects and explain a viewpoint on a topical issue, giving advantages and disadvantages of various points. So at level B2, this is what is expected, right? Now, when we look at the expectation here, clear, detailed, advantages, disadvantages, I have a question for you, and Rodrigo, I'm going to answer your question in a moment as well, right? And this is a task. We are going to look at part 1 for Linguaskill. For part 1, the candidate has 15 minutes, and they have to to write an email like this. There is a box here on the right. Do you know it will soon be 5 years since we finished college? I think we should contact our old friends and arrange to meet again. Have you got any ideas? They want to celebrate, so you have to write an answer to that email. When you write your email to Jen, you have to suggest a good way to celebrate your old college friends, explain when, the best time, when, and also offer yourself to organize the celebration. On the left here, you have a sample answer from a candidate. My question is this answer level B2, do you think? And if you think if it is or if it isn't, try to say why. So look at the answer on the left. Is this answer level B2? Whether you say yes or no, can you tell us why do you think it's yes or why you think it's no? Okay. Let me ask you something. For this email, they have to suggest a good way to celebrate. Is it included in the answer? They have to explain when would be the best time. Is it included in the answer? They have to offer themselves to organize the celebration. Did the person offer himself or herself to organize the celebration? Yes or no? So Luis Carlos says that not all the points are clear. Renato says not all the ideas are connected, no vocabulary. That's from Beatriz. Evie says missing words. There are some missing words, but look, sometimes the answer is not only about missing words, but making sure that all the information is included in the answer, right? So when you look at the answer here, she says, sure, I can help you. So they offer to organize, but there are some problems here. When we look at this answer, this is an answer at level B1, right? It's not a problem that it's at level B1, but it's a problem because it's not at level B2, yeah? So some words have been misspelled, as you mentioned. Now I'm going to show you a sample that is at level B2, and then we're going to see why. It's the same activity, right? But look at the answer on the left, on the right. I said left, sorry, on the right. Look at the answer on the right. Here, it's a level B2 type of answer. When you compare with the other answer, what are the differences? When you look at this. What are the differences when you look at this and you compare with the previous one? Yeah, wider range of vocabulary and improved grammar, very good. More organized, you can see paragraphs over here. Okay, making sure that the points are addressed in a way that is very clear for the reader, right? Yeah. Any other points? Lots of details, and look at the number of words when we compare 80 words, 99 words. So this also has an impact. But again, it's not just about the number of words, but how you structure your answer, the quality of the words, the range of vocabulary. And you notice that this answer here has a level of interaction that makes the relationship friendly. For example, we should definitely celebrate. So she's not speaking or he's not speaking, but they are showing emotion in the answer. We should definitely celebrate our anniversary. I can't believe how time flies. You see, they added elements that shows that they have the right level of relationship with the interlocutor. So we can say, why don't you all come in a way that is informal, but it is appropriate as well. Now, someone asked me here whether the answer should be formal or informal. It should be appropriate. This email is an informal email. So your answer will also be informal, but informal doesn't mean fewer words, incomplete words, or words that are abbreviated like text message. It should be at the right level of formality, as we can see here. Look, very beautiful sentences. We should organize it the summer so that we could, you see, very nicely organized, informal, but very nicely organized. Yeah, you can get to C1 level if you show the skills to be there, Rodrigo, by all means. You can use contractions because it's an informal kind of text. So things like, I can't, why don't you, all those things can be used by all means in the answer. But let me tell you something about you, and I'm very proud of you for this. When I asked you to check whether or not this was at level B2, you immediately sensed that this wasn't level B2, and I'm very happy for this because you are trusting your instincts. That's what you need to do. Trust your instincts. And now you have a good sample of B2 text to look at and to use as a model for you. And this is available on our website, right? Okay, what is this paper, the writing paper, assessing? And now I'm going to give you the criteria, the secret. First of all, look at the red text here. They are focusing on generally effective command of the written language. Command, you need to have control of your grammar. They expect it to be good, to be correct, control of your vocabulary, the right word for the right moment with the right spelling, right? So they are looking at task achievement. Someone asked me whether or not, whether they consider the organization more than the language. It's a combination of things. They look at task achievement, that is, did you realize the task? Did you include what you are supposed to include? Are all the key points there? So all the key points, the things they ask for, no irrelevance. You shouldn't include things that should not be there, right? At least the minimum text length, but it can be more. So at least the minimum, but it can be more, as many as you can, right? And also the effect on the target reader, that has to be positive. We looked at two answers. The first answer was very dry. The person didn't relate to the other person. The second answer, level B2, we could see that there was a friendly tone, right? So this is the effect on the target reader. So yes, there are sites where you can find examples of text at B2 level. BBC English, the one I mentioned, you can find as well. They're looking at language resource. You need to have adequate range of language, variety of language, right? You need to produce accurate language. That is, as much as possible, it should be correct, okay? Correct grammar, correct vocabulary, and it should not impede communication. and also text organization. So it's a combination of things. Your text should be organized, your language should be accurate, it should be varied, and you need to address all the points so that you score well on task achievement as well. And of course, there are other ways of practicing writing. One of them you have been introduced to in the previous lessons, which is write and improve, right? But there are other ways of practicing writing. Can you give me some ideas for that? Other ways for practicing writing? You can write, for example, to a friend. You can write to your classmates. But any other sites, any other ideas? In the meantime, while I wait for your ideas, I have some news for you. Yes, reading improves writing by all means. Good writers are avid readers. They read a lot. So I have news for you. In Write and Improve, a few more tasks have been added to the collection for you to practice. You can see there are a number of new tasks, and this is the amount. Look, level B1, B2 would be within intermediate level. You can also practice with advanced level as well. But there are 63 new tasks for you to practice in Write and Improve. So they have added more to what the platform already had. So I think it's good news for you. Again, you'll be able to access the tips for the writing component. This is the result that you get. You have explored this. When you do the Linguaskill, you get your statement of result, which will give you your grade individually per component, per skill, as we can see here. This is mapped to the Common European Framework of Reference. By all means, if you don't know, Linguaskill is verified. So if someone needs to check that you actually did the test, there is a portal for companies, universities, and schools to check that your statement of result is legitimate, right? Is genuine. So just so you know, there is a security level for Linguaskill. All the resources that I mentioned are on our website in the area of practice materials, everything that I mentioned, the sample tests that I mentioned over here for you to practice, to familiarize yourself. Remember the writing activity, the B1, B2 answers? You can also look at them. And when you go to the site, you can see the comments from the examiners, why that answer is level B1 or why that answer is level B2. So you'll be able to read the comments from the examiners as well. And of course, there are practice tests at different levels for you to, again, continue to practice more and more and more. Now I will check whether there are questions, Johnny, let me know.
So far, Alberto, you have answered them all. You
Oh, yes?
You did. Let's see if any other question will come up now.
Yeah.
Now it's the moment, right?
Yes. I would also like to say that I'll be more than happy to share the slides with the participants afterwards through CNA, because it has all the links to all the things I mentioned.
Amazing. Thank you so very much, Alberto. I guess, yeah, we have one question here, has just popped up from Bruno Favorito. For the speaking part, is it acceptable to use contractions in all cases?
Yes, it's not a problem. We use contractions when we speak, and you know, in the test you are expected to do the same. Just make sure that when you pronounce words, they are very clear.
Something that I mentioned when I delivered the speaking session. It's like you're savoring all the words.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, Rodrigo is thanking you, Laura too. Isabelle, thank you for participating. So I guess that's it. Alberto, thank you so very much for this amazing session. I'm pretty sure they all feel much more confident to sit the Linguaskill test. I enjoyed very much participating as well. Some of the tips I'm going to use in my personal life. I loved the closed test generator, the very first website you shared with them. And thank you all for participating, for contributing in the chat. Without you, this isn't possible. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, thank you everyone once again, and best of luck in your Linguaskill test, right?
And before you leave, we have a satisfaction survey in the chat. Please answer it. Your answers and contributions there are fundamental for us. Okay? Thank you, Alberto.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening and have a good rest as well.
You too. Good night, everybody. Bye, Maria. Bye, Felipe.